Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Alia Jasmine binti Abdullah and I will be presenting about our research study, which is a study on the perception and acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. So as we know, the world has been shocked with the emergence of a new coronavirus, the COVID-19, in which it spread so quickly that affected many thousands of people. So this new virus has become a threat to all people over the world, not only in Malaysia, and it has been declared as a pandemic. So the Malaysian government wanted to increase the acceptance for the COVID-19 vaccine among the people. Therefore, the purpose of this study is to examine and analyze the factors that associate with the perception and acceptance of the COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. So there are 4 factors that is associated with the perception and acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. Namely, the first one is knowledge about the vaccine. The second one is vaccine safety. The third one is misinformation and unsubstantiated rumors of vaccine. And lastly, the halal status of vaccine.
Hi, my name is Adila. So we move to the problem statement. The first problem statement is reluctance to the vaccine despite the availability of the COVID-19 vaccine. The people desire to get the vaccine has dropped during the pandemic. Secondly, the misinformation of unsustained rumors pertaining to COVID-19 vaccine. Social media has the potential to influence public trust among the students as they always active in social media. Moreover, Malaysian unable to accept my side effect of the COVID-19 vaccine. Their concern is about the adequacy of the vaccine testing, vaccine effectiveness, and vaccine safety. Other problem is the halal status of the COVID-19 vaccine. People are primarily interested in knowing whether if the vaccine are safe and halal. And lastly, the lack information and knowledge about the vaccine. For research objectives, this study have present 4 research objectives. First, to measure the level of knowledge of UiTM students pertaining to vaccine in regard of COVID-19 vaccine acceptance. Second is to identify whether is there any relationship between vaccine safety and the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among UiTM students. Moreover, to examine the effect of misinformation and unsubstantiated rumors of COVID-19 vaccine towards the UiTM student acceptance for the vaccine. And lastly, to determine whether the halal status of vaccine influence the student acceptance for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Next is the conceptual framework. So this shows the relationship between the dependent variable, which is the acceptance for the COVID-19 vaccine, and the other 4 variables. So the first one is the level of knowledge of UiTM students pertaining to vaccine. The level of knowledge about vaccine is crucial as good vaccine knowledge can reduce vaccine hesitancy. So for this variable, we do not make any hypothesis as we wanted to measure the level of the knowledge of UiTM students only. So the next variable is the vaccine safety. So vaccine safety can influence the students' perception to receive vaccine as they are afraid of the risk of the vaccine. They wanted to ensure the vaccine safety and efficacy first before they took it. So the hypothesis that can be formulated for this variable is, for the null hypothesis, there is no relationship between the vaccine safety and the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. And for the alternative hypothesis, there are relationship between the vaccine safety and the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. So for the third variable is the effect of misinformation and unsubstantiated rumors of COVID-19 vaccine. The impact is on the confidence of taking vaccine as most students tend to be misinformed about the rumors of vaccine at social media, especially by the anti-vaccine. So the hypothesis that can be formulated is, for the null hypothesis, there is no effect of misinformation and unsubstantiated rumors of vaccine towards the UiTM students' acceptance for COVID-19 vaccine. And for the alternative hypothesis, there is an effect of misinformation and unsubstantiated rumors of vaccine towards the acceptance for COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. So last variable is the influence of halal status of vaccine. The halal vaccine certificate is essential for Muslims and they wanted to ensure its safety and halal first before they actually can take the vaccine. So the hypothesis that can be formulated for null hypothesis, there is no influence between the halal status of vaccine and the student's acceptance for COVID-19 vaccine. And for the alternative hypothesis, there is an influence between the halal status of vaccine and the student's acceptance for COVID-19 vaccine.
We move to the research methodology. Research design use a cross-sectional design and the study using quantitative approach. The unit of analysis in this study will be the student of UiTM in Malaysia. The sample size, the researcher initiate to use the sample size of 384 people, but due to some constraint, this study will be held sample size for 250 respondents. The proposed sampling technique will be no probability sampling technique, which the convenience sampling. For the measurement and instrument, is a set of questionnaire will be developed based on the variable of the study. The questionnaire will consist of 6 sections, and the data collection, we use questionnaire and the Google form as the platform to distribute the questionnaire. For the data analysis, we use descriptive analysis, Pearson correlation, and regression analysis.
So next is about the findings. So for this part, it's about the data from demographic profile of the respondents. So the first one is gender. So majority is female that had answered our survey. For age group, majority is around 22 to 25 years old. For marital status, most of our respondents is still single. And for current residency, most of our respondents live in urban area. And for education level, bachelor degree student is the majority that had answered our survey. And most of our respondents is Islam as for the religion. For the history of being infected with COVID-19, most had answered yes, and for the history family members or friends being infected with COVID-19, most of the respondents also had answered yes. But for the presence of chronic disease, majority respondents do not have it. So moreover, this part will explain about the main findings for our research. So for the first objective is to identify whether is there any relationship between the vaccine safety and the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. So we had analyzed this by using Pearson correlation, where this result shows that for coefficient value is 0.543 and for the p-value is 0.001. So it shows that there is a strong positive relationship between the vaccine safety and the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students, as the p-value is less than 0.05. So H1 is accepted and H0 is rejected, where there is a relationship between these two variables. Next, our second objective is to determine the 3 factors that associated with the acceptance for the COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. So we have analyzed this by using multiple regression. The result shows that all 3 independent variables were identified as predictors that influence the acceptance to COVID-19 vaccine with an adjusted R2 value of 40.9%. So for the vaccine safety, it has the most high beta values that indicate it as the most strong influential predictors towards the students' acceptance for the COVID-19 vaccine. The significant value were also less than 0.05, and this followed by the second variable, which is the misinformation and unsubstantiated rumors of vaccine. So, for the halal status of vaccine, it does not have any influence towards the students' acceptance for COVID-19 vaccine, as the significant level is more than 0.05. So, we can say that vaccine safety is the most strongest and significant factor that influenced the acceptance to COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students as compared to other independent variables. Therefore, H1 is accepted and H0 is rejected, as we can say that there are predictors that associated with the acceptance to COVID-19 vaccine.
This study represents 3 recommendations to increase the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the students. First, university role to ensure the student can be exposed to the benefit of having COVID-19 vaccine. The safety of student population and the faculty is given high priority. So any student who desire to attend in-person lessons should require to obtain the COVID-19 vaccine, which could help to lower the risk of virus spreading. The university should design a program to increase the student acceptance toward the COVID-19 vaccine. Next, expansion of the COVID-19 vaccination program, especially to the student in Malaysia, with the collaboration between Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. Automatic voter registration has inspired the recommendation for the implementation of this program. Even though young voters lack of political literacy, automatic voter registration has increased the number of voters in general election 50. Therefore, this can be applied to the percentage of vaccination among the students if they are automatically registered for the COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in Malaysia has tied to how difficult it is to register to the vaccination in Malaysia. there are considerable reliance on the internet service media, particularly regarding to the necessary components of the vaccine registration. For the last recommendation is students should have a good knowledge, especially pertaining to the COVID-19 vaccine. Communication is one of the methods to deliver good knowledge of the COVID-19 vaccine among the student. So communicating proactively and openly can encourage the student to support for vaccination program.
So lastly is the research limitation and future suggestion. So the first one is limited sample size because it may not reflect the perception and acceptance for COVID-19 vaccine for all students in Malaysia since we only conduct for UiTM students. So researchers should conduct the study using a larger sample size, such as include the university students from both public and private institutions to provide a more precise findings on the study. The second one is limited model of study because it can impact on the study's finding as it is unable to provide a conclusive explanation on how the dependent variable may be impacted by the independent variable, so it gives limited result for the study. So researcher can supply other suitable model and variable for future research that can help to improve this study's conclusions. So the last point is reliability of the data obtained. So some of the participants may not read the questions before they answer, and some may just pick the answer from the questionnaire randomly, which this could produce inaccurate findings. So the idea for future research is to undertake in-person interviews also, so respondents can express their opinions in addition to those offered in the questionnaire.
In conclusion, this study measured the perception and acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM students. The overall findings show that the vaccine safety is the most influential and give the impact towards the UiTM student for the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine, followed by the misinformation and the unsubstantiated rumors of the vaccine. Since UiTM the most extensive university in the Malaysia, the largest university with the branches in terms of size and population, it is important to ensure the higher level of acceptance in this institution. Therefore, this study had provided the suggestion to increase the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine among the UiTM